Welcome to Dirty Laundry City with Isabella and Silvana.
An unironically relatable female millennial podcast where we talk about health, relationships, and being in our 30s.
Airing out your laundry has never been so dirty.
Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Dirty Laundry City for more. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to Dirty Laundry City. I'm Silvana.
I'm Isabella. Let's get into it. Our Mary Kate and Ashley moment.
Yes. Bella's hopped up on the cold brew right now. She had a coffee earlier. Then she had... Where did she say it was from? It was like cold brew from Coffee Roaster or something.
I don't know.
She was like, it's the good shit.
It was strong and dark.
Yeah.
And very strong.
Strong and
so I
dark.
have more energy than usual.
Yeah, I've never seen you have this amount of energy. You're
Which
usually
is
like ready for a nap.
Pretty low energy in general.
Yeah,
so.
but it's still energetic for sure. We're talking romantic relationships today. I'm obviously so excited about this. We kind of teased it on the last one, I think, but there's a lot to be said here, so we're gonna have to really figure out how to cut this down. But first, as always, we're going lights, darks, delicates.
Correct.
You start off.
Okay, so I'll start off with my lights, which are kind of positive things that are currently happening or have happened. It's been exactly 1 year since I have cut out alcohol from my life.
She's sober.
And the reason for doing it was just to kind of experiment with it. And I do feel clear about things. So yeah, I'm really happy about that.
And what was the, like you said it was to experiment, but like, did you just feel bad on it? Did you feel like you were doing it too much? Like, what was the reason for it?
I didn't feel like I was doing it too much. I did kind of gradually, I think everyone does as they get older, cut it out of your life. You're not doing it as frequently. I do think it can trigger my anxiety. So that was part of the reason why I had kind of cut back on it in most recent years. But I just went for it and committed to it. And it's been a year since, and I haven't, it is hard in social situations.
I was going to ask that.
But I feel good about it. And I think it's easier than people think.
Yeah. And do you, when you're in a situation like an event, right, or like a wedding or someone's birthday, like, is it ever awkward? Like, do you ever feel like you're missing out, or you're kind of like isolated in the sense that you might be the only, or have you gotten past that point now that it's been like a year?
I think I've gotten past it. I think it was a little harder when I was at weddings last year.
Right.
It's just kind of the culture. So I feel that now that it's kind of just become second nature in a way.
It's just like you don't even feel the need to do it.
Yeah. I don't really miss it.
Hats off to you, because I do think the New York culture is a lot of drinking, especially dating culture, which we'll get to.
But I also think it's a lot of not drinking too. Like I think it's probably easier here than other places.
Because there's so much else to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Okay. We're switching off. So my light is I took some time off and I went to Puerto Rico with my man, and it was really nice. It was an extension of a kind of work trip, but it was great. We just had some alone time, which I feel like we haven't had, and a lot of the trips this year are for weddings or bachelorettes, and it was beautiful, and the weather was 87 and sunny every single day. I got a tan, and it was just nice because my boyfriend's Puerto Rican, and so I felt like he kind of had that connection with it. So yeah, it was great. That was definitely my light. And yeah,
that sounds like great weather compared to New York, which recently has been just raining every day. I think that
spring showers,
the new normal going forward. Then we'll move into our dark. So I guess negative or things that we're, not so proud of. For me, I think weather can play like a huge impact on my seasonal depression, which a lot of people, in the East Coast get. So it's been really hard to kind of climb out of that. I feel like we've been getting teases of like nice weather, and then it's just like rain all the time. So for me, I know there's a light at the end physically, but it's hard for me to kind of get past when it's, you know, constant rain or constant no sun.
Extra naps. Yeah, the depression is real for sure when the weather is so bad. I never want to leave.
It's hard.
Horrible. Yeah,
it's hard to be motivating.
We'll add that on top of my dark, which was New York City experienced an earthquake
for approximately like 30 seconds, I think it was.
Yeah, it felt like 20-ish.
Okay.
I was working. I work remote. I know you do too. And I was on with a coworker, and it's funny because when things like this in New York happen, you're like, oh, it's like a large truck or something
I didn't
went
think
by.
anything of it.
Or
It
like
was
your neighbor, your upstairs neighbor that's like
construction or
jump roping.
It felt like a subway underneath you.
Yeah.
Which is pretty, you know, I live on the 5th floor, so I didn't even think like, oh, that's an earthquake until my friend who lives 2 blocks away called me saying, did you feel that? And I was like, I didn't even think New York could experience earthquakes.
Same. I've never experienced one ever. I mean, I haven't spent a ton of time on the West Coast. But
apparently they had one not too long ago. So like 10 years ago.
On Long Island or something, right? Or no?
I'm not sure where it was.
Yeah. Well, it was 4.8 magnitude, which I think is like, you know, you feel it, but nothing gets really destroyed.
Right.
But yeah, that was just the weirdest. Like, and I think it kind of makes you realize that you're not indestructible. It's like weird things can happen, and I mean, devastation all over, and because of weather and natural disasters and all of that is like real. And
apparently earthquakes are not caused by climate change, so they can happen really anywhere. So it's the tectonic plates shifting. Because I was like, oh, maybe it's an earthquake because of climate change.
Yeah,
we see
that's always the first thought.
A lot of rain here now, and you know, different things that are happening in the weather. But it's there was also an earthquake like a week or two before. I think it was in Taiwan, a pretty massive.
It was really bad, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like super destructive. Yeah.
So.
I mean, thank God that we're not in those areas, but it is scary. I think you just kind of, I mean, I had that moment of like panic.
Did you?
Yeah. Because I realized what it was after a few seconds, because it just was too large of like a movement for it to be
on the first floor too.
Yeah, and I'm obviously where I'm at, I'm like not right near a subway, so I was like, that couldn't have been it. But yeah,
I was really loving the content that came out of the earthquakes, the memes, the TikToks. People, once there's something that happens, people can really be very creative. I will say that. So.
Oh, there's a funny one about like being a 4.8, like funny how what is it, like the earthquake was a 4.8 and so am I in New York City.
New York City. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, in New York City. That's true.
That's true.
That is true.
Okay, so moving into our last piece, which is our delicates, which is something that we're either actively working towards or looking forward to. My delicates would still be, I am kind of on this fitness health journey. I don't think it's going anywhere. I have been doing yoga more than before and trying to be more conscious of what I eat. Now that I don't drink, I have...
It's got to be easier, right? I mean, all of the bad, like a lot of the bad eating decisions is because I have a cocktail in my system.
But now I feel like, I can have that extra soda at dinner. Or like, I don't, Coca-Cola is my vice now because...
Yeah. That high fructose corn syrup really gets you good.
So good.
Yeah. It's like a little... Ooh. My delicate. Oh my God. The social media for promoting this podcast... It's a lot of work. It is so much work to figure out when to post, what to post. And then it's time consuming to figure out how to do like snippets from this entire podcast, which typically ends up being like 45 minutes to an hour. We need to cut down, usually an hour, and then we're cutting it down to 45 minutes or 30 minutes. And then from that, I have to go into an app called like In Touch that you then have to cut down into smaller segments. And then you have to like put text on the screen and then also zoom in certain parts. And it's just like such a learning curve.
Yeah.
And all of these influencers and people who post online, it is very impressive because I know they're spending so much time doing this. And I think that the people who are, you know, getting money from doing all this stuff online, like, yeah, it could be a little frustrating because you know that they're living well and getting money from it. But I know that they're putting in time and effort into it. Like, I'm constantly trying to figure it out. So I'll get better.
Yes. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, I'll get better for sure. And I'm going to try to post some of like snippets from each of these episodes online.
And as soon as we gain notoriety and popularity,
yeah.
we won't have to do it.
Thousands of followers.
Have someone do it for us.
We will hire.
Yes.
We will hire. So anyone who's interested in interning currently for free,
Yep.
please let us know.
College age.
Honestly, I'll take anyone. You could be older. Bella would prefer it if you're over the age of 60.
No, I wouldn't because they would not be well versed in it.
Maybe they have a lot of time. Yeah. All right. Anyways, so let's go into romantic relationships. So let's set the stage for everyone to understand. So I am probably what you would call a chronic relationshipper in the sense of I love being in a relationship. I've always been in one for the most part throughout my life with little snippets here and there of being single. I just get a lot of joy, and it's just something that I've always felt like is an important part of my life, being in a relationship with a gentleman, a man. And currently I am in a 9-year relationship.
Okay.
So set the stage for everyone to understand that. I am in a long-term committed monogamous relationship, and Bella is the total opposite.
Correct. So I'm kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum of relationships romantically. I've truly never been in a long-term relationship by choice. So we definitely have contrasting experiences where she's never experienced single life at a length, a certain amount of time, and I've never experienced a serious relationship or whatever you want to call it, a long term.
Which I think tells a lot about someone in a lot of ways, like the things that you learn from being in a relationship and then things you learn from being single for an extended period of time. But I think the differentiation with yours is like you are single and have been single this long by total choice. Like, it's not that you've wanted to be in a relationship. It's not that you've had that desire. Right. I mean, you actively date and you see people.
Right.
But you're not like, your goal and priority is not to go out and find that person for you.
Which I do think a lot of people, that is maybe their goal when they are single or they are looking for a partner, whether it be long-term or short-term. I've just never really been searching for that. If it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
And it's not like I've had, terrible experiences or, anything like that.
Yeah. So let's get into, let's start off with, what do you think about like monogamy? What do you think about relationships? Like what do you feel like you might like about it? What turns you off about it? Like overall? I
mean, I definitely have been surrounded by people who are in monogamous relationships, really pretty healthy relationships as well. I do feel like I have some understanding because I have many friends who have long-term relationships, who have multiple relationships, whatever. So I do have a grasp of what I would want and what I would not want. I do think there is something to be said about when a relationship, two partners are together without being married and for a long term. I mean, 9 years is a really long time, and you're choosing to show up. You're not, you don't have to be there because you have a ring on or because there's a piece of paper.
Yeah.
So there is something to be said about that, but I also have much admiration towards people who do get married and kind of show on, not display isn't the right word, but are showing up for each other in a public way. At a wedding or, at a courthouse, whatever, you're telling the world that you're married. And I think in terms of monogamy versus non-monogamy, I could never be in a non-monogamous relationship. I don't think that's a very new wave of thinking.
Because of jealousy?
It just seems messy. That's a lot.
Too much work.
Adding one person is a lot for me. Adding multiple people, too much.
When will you nap?
When will I nap? When will I be truly alone is really the question.
So really, I mean, I think a lot of it is just you genuinely enjoy being alone and your space and all of that. Yeah. See, if I had to choose, I would never be alone ever again. Like, I like my little breaks, but no, being alone causes me anxiety for sure.
And many, many people it does. And many people that's not, I don't think there's right versus wrong, being with people versus, it's definitely a balance. I think, it's nice to come home to someone for sure.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yes. And support. And it's like built-in support always.
Yes.
Not saying that your friends can't be that, but it is a different type of support.
I would say that I would need to find someone I would be super comfortable where I could be 100% myself.
Of course. Yeah. Every
So
relationship you want that.
Something that's important to me.
I have a little bit of an unpopular opinion when it comes to monogamy and marriage.
What's that?
It's very non-traditional. The older I've gotten, the more I believe that monogamy is not natural. I think that we are humans, but we're kind of also part of this like animal kingdom in the world. Mm-hmm. And we're not necessarily built to only just maybe love one person. I think that plays into the, like, I don't really believe anyone has one soulmate. Mm-hmm. I think that you have energetic connections, but you can have multiple. And I think that it's just not a totally natural idea of completely closing yourself off to all other potential opportunities out there. However, having said that, I am in a monogamous relationship, which seems really counterintuitive. I enjoy it. I'm happy in it. I don't have an issue with it. However, I still believe that it is against what human nature is at its very core. And I think a lot of the reason why we are monogamous is just because of religion. And religion has brought us to where we are today, and we can't get rid of it. And that's just how, life has kind of happened up until this point. But I'm very open, and I'm very impressed and amazed and happy that now the days that we're in, people are able to explore non-monogamy and, figure out if it's right for them. It's not right for everyone. So you believe in it?
It might not be right for you at this moment in time.
Correct.
But it is something that could be sustainable for people.
I think so. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying it's easy. And I think a lot of people in our, in the world is going to look at you like it's weird, and they're not going to believe in it. And they might even, be against it and tell you outwardly that they're against it. But I totally think it's possible. It's just a matter of shifting your mindset and not focusing and totally relying on those traditional beliefs and religious ideas.
So it's interesting that you tie together monogamy and religion, because I kind of tie together non-monogamy and religion together. Because as we see in certain religions, it's in many cases they can have the husband can have multiple wives, but the wife cannot have multiple husbands.
Yeah. Well, then.
So that's where my ideation.
There.
That's where my ideation.
But that's not Catholicism.
That's
or
not
Christianity.
Catholicism.
I'm thinking, I guess, more Catholicism, Christianity kind of.
These are Christian religions as well. Like the sister wives, they're Christian. They believe in Jesus, and they're not Catholic. Catholicism believes in man, woman, marriage.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, that's
commandment is like you're not supposed to cheat on your wife. Mm-hmm. It doesn't say that the wife can't cheat on the husband though, but
is that a loophole?
there's a loophole in the 10 Commandments.
We should all just think about that and remember that, women out there.
So no. I have when I've seen, I guess, non-monogamy in the media, it has been for me tied to religion,
other religions. Yeah.
Same with monogamy, though. I do understand how you can see it from a religious experience.
Yeah. No, that's a fair point. I was thinking really Catholicism, because that's kind of how I grew up.
Yeah.
I was around that. And everyone just, I think this, like, marriage in itself is like such a, like, just like beacon of like light in so many people's lives. Like,
sure.
It's like, this is what you're working towards, endeavor towards, like that whole idea of just like completely giving yourself to this person and only that person. And like, it's beautiful and I love it. And I think it's wonderful, but I just think innately it's not meant
like to you don't think that you're an incomplete person without a partner.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people feel whatever, that they are then complete when they find their match, their second their other half,
right?
Their whatever the terminology is.
Yeah.
That in order to feel whole, which I wholeheartedly disagree with. I think that you should work on yourself more before you enter a relationship. I mean,
yeah.
Like myself.
But that doesn't mean you can't obviously figure out your own life and work on your own things when you're with someone. But being in a relationship, a marriage, monogamous relationship, even a polyamorous, whatever it is, relationship is work. It is work. And people who tell you it's not work they're lying. They're lying. It is. You have to put a lot of daily effort, and it's always going to be that. And so for me, it's actually even more impressive if you have multiple partners. Right. Because you have to put even extra energy into all of them. So,
which I already have low energy. So I don't.
This makes a lot of sense.
Where could I possibly find the energy for multiples?
Zero. No. Yeah. It's
hard enough.
Yeah. And I think that's why I've never placed importance on marriage. I said this in the other episode too, like my parents never encouraged that as well. So I think that definitely makes difference.
Yeah. I think also, I mean, your parents are still married to this day. Like you do have an example of a really healthy relationship and marriage, as do I. So
but I think that's an interesting point too, like of why, and sorry to cut you off, but I think it's like, that's what makes this, I think, even more interesting is we actually come from very healthy, safe, good, traditional families, but we still can have
other opinions,
other views and other opinions. And I think that can be rare. That actually can be rare. Like if I came from a divorced family and was like, yeah, marriage is never for me, I'm not into this. Like obviously understandable. It makes more sense. But yeah, it's just, I feel like it's getting better, but I feel like there's still people out there that look at me in a 9-year relationship and say, well, why aren't you getting married?
Sure.
What?
Well, why would I? Why would you just say that?
I mean, give me a tax benefit, Give me half his money, honey. Like, sure, but that's not
important to you.
That's not why. That's not why I'm in this relationship.
Why would you get, just for that? Like, no.
So number 2, if you know, you know. If you know, you know.
Shout out to,
I don't know who sings that.
I think it's Jack Antonoff.
Jackie.
We will fact check that.
Yep.
So
What do you think about that? What do you think about if you know, you know? Or like, I saw him and I knew immediately.
No, I don't believe in
No,
that.
it's got to be BS, right?
You are,
You
again,
think you know?
it's about choice. You're choosing to be working towards a relationship, or you're choosing to, go out on a date with someone. You have the option of saying yes or no. It's really...
But people say that there is a time where they literally met someone and they knew immediately. Why do you think that?
I mean, that would scare the shit out of me.
Yeah. It would scare you, but other people, that's like, my God, like I just found the love of my entire life. And sometimes it ends up being that way. Sometimes they do stay with that person. I mean, is it an energetic pull? Is it just them saying, oh, wow, this is the ideal person that I've created in my brain, or like had a list of, or whatever. And they got lucky. It ended up actually working out.
Yeah. It is a little frightening, because what if one day you wake up and you don't want to be with that person anymore?
Well,
you change, they change, you're changing together, you're changing apart, you're moving apart from each other. That's what is part of the fear in my mind.
Of course. I mean, that's always a fear.
A long-term relationship.
But that's the biggest thing to say is relationships are choices, and choosing to grow and change with that person, because the most constant thing in life is change, right? And maybe in that moment you really are meant to be together, but it's not that you're always going to perfectly align for the rest of your life. You literally have to make that choice every single day to choose them and to say, I'm going to be in this relationship. So maybe in that moment it really is like they were the one in that second, but is it always going to be that?
Right,
Probably
right.
not.
Yeah. I definitely have a strong enough intuition to be like, this is a good or bad person.
Yeah. So it's probably part of
right
that
away.
Too. Yeah.
What's also gets kind of convoluted is you saying these traits or these characteristics are, I'm willing to overlook because this outweighs something else.
Yes. No one is perfect.
Which I'm not always willing to overlook certain things. And it's a hard compromise and balance. And maybe that contributes to why I haven't been in a long-term relationship, is because I have a harder time distinguishing what's worth it. And, just because they have bad taste in music doesn't mean they're a bad person. But to me, they are.
And I will say, especially being in a 9-year relationship, there are so many things you have to just take for what they are.
Right.
They are not going to check that perfect list of boxes. I mean, some guys will and guys do, but then you're going to find out in a year, 2 years, like, oh, maybe this isn't so great.
Right.
Or, oh, I have to do this. And like so much is accepting them for all of those things, including their flaws, including all of the bad parts.
Which might not even be a compatibility issue. And saying that you could have so many things in common, you have the same taste, but you just might not work together in a relationship. So just because you're perfect on paper doesn't translate into real life.
That's why I've never lived by like checking off the boxes. I actually don't like when people say that, like, oh, he ticks all my boxes, he checks off all my boxes. Like, that's your ideal person in life, and like, sorry, but life is not ideal. Like, you're never gonna find that perfect person. Even if you did, most of the time they're not actually going to be. And like, if you're excluding people who might actually you could jive with and have more compatibility with, but don't have those boxes, like, you're missing out on so many people. And like, everyone,
like, they have to be a certain height, or you know.
We got to talk about the height. Okay, first of all, short kings. Just saying. I'm a short king girl.
You're also a shorter girl.
I know I'm 5. Okay, I'm 5 feet. Let's preface that. But like 5'9" and under, sign me up.
Sign you up.
First of all, pants look better.
Okay.
Pants look better.
That is very specific. Talk about not checking the boxes.
What's the first thing that you look at when you look at a guy? What's the first thing you notice?
Hair?
Okay. What if they're baldy?
Again, hair. I mean, I'm noticing if
Do you
they're
like a
bald.
bald?
I mean, I don't know.
Not against a bald.
Not against.
We like that.
Yeah.
So it's not height, because most women will say height.
I would say, well, yeah, I would say, obviously physical appearance.
Okay, but you have to say one thing, one characteristic. You're saying hair.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that, because most women are going to say height. For me, it's not. Height is important, but it's the way that clothes fall on them, like their body types. I know that's super weird, but like the way that a guy wears his pants, to me, is very important. Like, are they sagging off? Are they too tight? Are they too cuffed at the bottom? Are they like showing way too much in the front area?
This is very specific.
It's so specific, but I know there are girls out there that also think this. So I really hope I don't think I'm the only one. But I just think that clothes and certain pants look just better on shorter guys.
So what if they have terrible style, like in
Well,
general,
that plays into it, yeah,
but then
of course.
good pants?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's no way they have terrible style and wear good pants.
Okay.
If they have good style, they're going to wear a nice pair of pants, usually.
Yeah, I would agree.
Right, yeah. It's just like an important part of their outfit. Anyway, this obsession with height is just, like, for me, so wild. Like, I'm not attracted to taller guys, really. I've like been attracted in the past, but not really. But like women who only date guys who are 6 feet and higher or taller, unless you're like tall, I get it. Like if you're a tall girl and you want to date someone who's taller, like I get it. I there's nothing wrong with that. But and I know I'm short, so like I have the luxury of liking men who are like 5'5",
yeah,
5'6", 5'7", 5'8", 5'9". But I do think they're like really missing out on a lot of really great guys that aren't 6 feet.
This is the her platform for short king.
Yes, this is a short king. Do you like a short king?
No.
Why? What if there is a guy who's like 5'7"? You're still short. What are you, 5'3"?
5'4".
Okay, you're 5'4". What if someone who's amazing and perfect, or whatever, perfect, no one's perfect, but you know, a guy that's like incredible, that loves all your music, that leaves you alone and lets you be independent, and is 5'7"?
Leaves me alone. Never shows up.
Just sends you gifts.
Might be imaginary. I don't know. I guess it depends, but it's not my number one thing I'm looking for.
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay.
I'm gonna determine like you seem sane or not. Like there's other things that are
I think that's my biggest point is like you can have a preference, right? I prefer shorter guys, you prefer taller guys, but I don't think that should be number one. Okay. To totally rule someone out based on that is really unfair. I've been underappreciated and ruled out my whole life because I'm 5 feet tall. Yeah, when you're short, I'm sorry, but it's traumatic. Ask my father. He's 5'5", and he talks about it every single day. Being a dude that's short is hard.
Well, being a dude, but being a woman.
But being a woman is, okay, fine. It's a little bit easier. But do you know how many...
We take that back. We take that back. Cut. It's never going to be easier to
a man has
woman.
Something harder in their life? That's crazy. No, I'm just saying, like, my whole life, people have walked up to me and put their elbow on my shoulder.
On your shoulder.
And pushed and said, wow, you're such a great armrest.
What?
My whole life.
People have done that to you.
All the time.
Well, they just say, that's rude. That's bad.
Everyone.
That's not good.
I'm like all of middle school, high school.
That's a bully right there.
I was bullied. I was also the bully, but I was bullied.
That I can see. I would never Actually, yeah. I would.
Yeah.
Probably. I would make fun of you
Exactly.
for being short, but I wouldn't say you were a good arm wrest. I would obviously come up with something way more clever.
I mean, I'm sure tall people get this too. Like, wow, you're so tall.
How's the weather up
Wow,
there?
you're so, wow, how's the weather down there? Like,
Yeah.
oh gosh, do you like shop in the children's section? Like,
Yes,
Well,
I do.
I used to,
Not
not anymore.
anymore.
Okay, all right, let's
Okay,
move on.
there's a lot to cover.
What's our next topic? Let's transition into single girl era experiences, just overall experiences that we've had that I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. But I want to hear first, what are the best dates, worst dates, and just honestly your overall single experience, because it's very unique in New York.
Sure. So I think being single is interesting because sometimes people kind of assume that you were, dumped or you were broken up with. Like they kind of feel like a pity towards you in a way. Like
When you go on dates?
when I go on dates? Or
Who
just in
feels that way?
general?
Oh, just in general, people
Single
feel that
people
way.
are looked at as being like, don't worry, you'll find somebody.
Especially at our age. You're saying like
Yes.
past 30.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't worry, you'll find someone, or maybe there's something wrong with you. Whatever. I don't need your sympathy. I'm fine. Thank you so much for caring.
Well, I mean, define fine.
I'm fine. I'm at baseline fine. Okay. When I
Survive, not thrive.
I think out of all of my friends that I have, I definitely have been the one to go on the most first dates.
Yeah.
If you can name someone who's been on more first dates than myself, love to chat it up with them.
Give me an idea of how many that is.
I don't know. Over the course of almost, I'd say, 10 years, I'm not going on first dates looking for a husband.
Okay, that's the distinction,
There's the
is what we're
distinction.
saying. You're going on first dates to connect with humans, to enjoy your time, to see where it's going to go, but
Correct.
you're not out there desperate, like desperation written on your forehead saying, I need a husband today.
No.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Which is why I'm 32 and single.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes a little more
You're
sense.
not settling. You're not.
So I don't know how many dates I've been on post like college.
I've had a few, like when I was single, I had a few like classic, nothing was ever too crazy. I don't feel like we have like wild stories, but I've had a few where like they just only talked about themselves for like an hour.
Oh yeah.
Like just non-stop about themselves. And I was in a position in my life where I wasn't doing it to find a relationship, so it didn't bother me that much. I was just like, whatever, this guy's just narcissistic and obsessed with himself. Or maybe he was nervous and didn't know what else to say. But there is nothing worse than sitting there on a date for like an hour and feeling stuck there and just being like, I have no interest in what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
it's truly just horrible.
You would think like in your mind's eye that, oh, I can leave at any time. Like I can just
No,
get up.
'cause it's
No,
another
you're-
human.
When you're in this situation, you can't just be like, I'm gonna go. What happens in like film and TV? They go to the bathroom and never come back. Like that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I mean, if it does, like I'm so sorry, but
Yeah.
there have been very rare occasions where I thought in my mind, I need to get out. Where is the emergency exit? And actually left.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
not realistic.
I mean, I've had situations where I've gone out with people that had girlfriends, and I didn't know.
I could have very well also, but I don't.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
depends.
Well, I found out, so that was fun. That's happened to me twice, and that's kind of also why I'm like, monogamy just doesn't seem very natural for many people. So
True.
it's wild how many people out there, I think especially in New York, there's so many dedicated like Facebook groups and things that like in New York City dedicated to like men who have girlfriends.
Well, I'm a part of a page. It says, "Are we dating the same guy?"
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I've had friends who have had guys they've gone out with that were put on blast on those pages
Yeah.
because they were dating like half of New York City.
Yeah.
And in like my situation, I had like found out certain guys that like were literally lying to people, like hooking up with other people, and are now engaged and married to those people that they were with. And I don't think their significant others have any idea.
Yeah.
That is wild to me, especially if you've been in a long-term relationship or they're cheating on you for months and months and months and months. How do you have no idea? There is a woman's
blind.
But like there is a woman's intuition. I mean, I've definitely all of the times, and this has happened to me multiple times, where I've caught a significant other with other people, I've always had a feeling and I figured it out.
And did you break up with them?
One, yes. The other one, no, because it was my first like real serious boyfriend. I was obsessed with him. It was very unhealthy. But I was also maybe not the best either. So I think it's, you know, it's for me growing up and having serious relationships lends to an even harder difficulty of staying completely
single.
No, dedicated to that person.
Oh.
Like when you're growing up, you're exploring and experiencing and wanting all of these things. Last topic, because I feel like we've already said a lot. Last topic is something I definitely want to discuss, especially for like the millennial audience versus the Gen Z. When I was growing up, and I think you can agree, your sexuality was pretty much black or white. It was you are heterosexual, you're straight, or you're homosexual, you're gay, or lesbian, whatever it was. Yeah. Bisexuality, I knew it existed.
Sure.
But I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
Who was bisexual.
Confident even enough of claiming that as their identity or sexual identity. We didn't see it a lot in media either.
No, I don't remember it at all.
There was nothing talked about. I mean, the word even like spectrum of sexuality was never discussed or until probably we were like in college, maybe.
Yeah.
Was where we were seeing it more.
Maybe even later for me, which would have been like 2012, 2014.
I mean,
yeah.
And then I also feel like moving to a big city like New York, there's more people, obviously.
Yeah. I think the opportunity to be more open and outward about your sexuality and what you identify as is a lot more here in New York. And maybe just because I grew up in Florida, I didn't see it so much.
Sure.
That could be like definitely a part of it. Maybe you with Ohio, although Ohio is pretty progressive.
In the cities, not
in the cities, not in like the suburbs. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that also just learning like different people's experiences or even us just seeing it like represented in shows or movies or kind of, you know, in like Schitt's Creek, for example, like
that's
talks
so
about
true.
being like pansexual or
it's like finally it's talked about. I mean, I know it existed. We're not saying that it didn't. It's just it was not displayed. It was not talked about. It was not represented on TV. It was not
right. And even
comfy.
Growing up, like having like the stereotypical gay character was even like controversial, like in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So obviously it's a big jump from going to see these like heteronormative examples.
I mean, I love it though. Like it's so nice to finally feel like people can just say whatever they believe they are.
Yeah.
And like feel comfortable enough to say it. Do they feel safe yet? Not sure. Probably not. But
right.
I mean, I remember in high school having an experience of like being around people who were like making fun of people who were gay and lesbian. And it's just so wild to me that like you give a shit that much about how other people are living their lives. Like it's so wild.
Yeah.
They are not hurting you. They are not affecting you.
Yeah.
But like, I just love that people can actually say like, yes, I'm bisexual now. And like, it's like not a weird thing to say. Like But if someone had come up to me in 2010 or whatever it was and said that, I would have been like, whoa,
Yeah.
you exist. Like,
Right,
this is
right.
awesome. And I think just the exploration piece is so important when you are young.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important to experience certain things, to know exactly who you are and what you like. And, you know, it's like your Samantha Jones season 4 era. I've had it. Look it up if you don't know what I mean. I think a lot of people have had it, and there is nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
And it just helps you identify who you are, shapes who you are, no matter what experience that is. And it's for the millennials who had to go through it and had to be made fun of, or, you know, had a rough time. Like, I feel so bad, and I'm so happy that like this Gen Z era
Yeah.
does not have to deal with it as much. I mean, I'm sure there are areas in the US that
Yeah.
still.
Well, they're, I think, also different in that they don't even really create labels for people.
Yeah, that's true.
Whether it be gender or sexuality or so, which is even better.
Yeah. The little strides.
The little stride.
The little strides that we've taken. The bathrooms that are gender neutral. Like,
That's true.
we're all humans at the end of the day. Okay, so next episode, we will discuss. I think we should go mental health.
That's a big jump.
I know it's a big jump.
We can go mental health. That might
Should we go mental health?
two-part
A
series.
two-parter, mental health two-parter, double feature.
Yeah, maybe like focused on anxiety or something.
Yeah, destigmatizing
Destigmatizing
the anxiety, which is wonderful. But thanks for joining. We are officially on all podcast platforms, which is so exciting. We're still going to be on YouTube. So please like and subscribe if you are enjoying these. And
Thanks so much for joining us. Catch us wherever you subscribe to podcasts and like and subscribe below.
see you next time in the laundry room. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment on our YouTube channel at Dirty Laundry City. To also stay up to date with us and get all the behind-the-scenes content, you can follow Isabella and I on Instagram and TikTok, both at Dirty Laundry City. Special thanks to Nick Ciavata, audio production, Antonio Concepcion, editing, and Side Studio for graphic design logo creation.